In Silicon Valley, this is what we'd say. It's the application of three things: technology, data, and analytics, to four different areas. And it's important to think of the four. The first is the products and services that we make. So most obviously here, it's having an app, or it's having a website, right? That's most obvious. But there's other areas. There's the assets inside of our business. There's also the operations about how things move around inside of our business. And finally, there's the workforce. There's the people inside of our business and how they work with each other and machines using technology. The second is what is disruptive. We hear this word a lot. In Silicon Valley and Facebook, we describe it really simply. We just say it's really fast and it's really powerful. It's something that you feel coming. It's almost hard to describe, but you know when you feel it. I'm sure there's people that can use data to do this, but it's essentially when you just feel it coming in the ether. You feel it in what's happening around you. The game of business, I think, has fundamentally changed. And I think it has just changed in the past 5 or 10 years. We've really just hit this inflection point right now, and we're all starting to feel it. And I could characterize it this way. Business was invented essentially back in the 19th century. That's when capitalism was invented, right? It was all about making every widget, a million widgets, the same as every other widget, and getting those widgets out the door and sending them across the country and selling them at a low price. So it was an era where we treated employees as children. We tried to minimize defects. It's when we invented everything. It's around the structures and the processes and the titles, about the 5-day work week. It was about the board of directors and annual reports and quarterly targets. We invented all this in the 19th century. And it worked for a long time. It worked through the 20th century when things got a little shinier, but that system still worked for us. But now we find ourselves in the 21st century, and suddenly those systems and processes and ways of doing things don't work as well. In most companies, you've got a career ladder, right? You come in and you climb the ladder. Now, usually what's one of the key things about climbing the ladder? It's how many people you manage, right? You come in and you manage nobody, then you manage 2 people, then you manage 10, then you manage 20, then and you climb. The more people you manage, the better. Well, guess what? People like Einstein might not want to manage anybody. But what if that's the only path through the business and through advancement is through this career ladder? Well, guess what? That person won't hang around. How many people you manage has nothing to do with how successful you are or how important you are in the business. In fact, there's a separate role description at Facebook and Google and Amazon. At Facebook, it's called individual contributor, or IC. And there's 2 different paths in Facebook. There's manager path and IC path. A manager does manage more people as they go through their career. An IC doesn't manage anybody. But they will advance at the same rate, get the same promotions, same pay rises, same recognition as somebody manages 50, 100, 1,000 people. It's because they are so important. There's not a lot of ICs in Facebook, but the ones that we have are they're the Einsteins of the world. And so we don't force them to manage people if that's not what they're good at or not what they want to do. You still need to go faster because somebody else is probably going faster than you today. And so we think about time as a fixed resource. You get so much of time, but speed is a learned skill. There's good and bad here. The good news is this: you, me, we all have one thing in common with Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, if he was alive. We all have one thing in common, and that is every morning when you wake up, God gives you the same 24 hours for that day that he gives to Elon Musk or he gives to Mark Zuckerberg. You get the same. We all get the same amount of time every day. How good is that? Here's another 24 hours. But the bad part is, if you wasted the previous 24 hours, it doesn't matter. You get another 24, right? You keep getting handed it. And so there's a negative to that as well. At Facebook, we try to make people feel like every day I get those 24 hours, I am lucky to have this time, and I'm going to make the best use of it. So we try to teach people that speed is a learned skill.